Hey, this is Larry Osborne here, and I want to talk to you today a little bit about how to change culture. One of the jobs of a leader is always to set the culture, maintain the culture, get it back in alignment when it leaks off to the side, which it does so often. But in particular, I want to talk about what do we do when we find the culture is one thing and we're trying to move it into another direction. Now, to begin, we've got to understand what corporate culture, what the DNA of an organization is. And it's really quite simple. It's the way we think and the way we do things around here. Sometimes that lines up perfectly with our values and our statements and our missions. And other times it's crept to something that has nothing to do with what we state it is. But as a leader, you walk into a situation or you've been in a situation a long time and you see that something needs to change, you're going to have three basic responses as you try to change it. The first response is going to be, well, that's not the way we're doing things around here. The second response will be a little bit of scratching the head and wondering, like, what's up with that? And by the third time something is done, people are saying, well, that's how we always do it. Because culture, at its very core, simplest definition, is how we think and how we do things around here. Now, I want to talk in particular today about something that I find nobody mentions very often or maybe ever, and yet it's incredibly significant when you as a leader are trying to change culture. And the significance is the difference between setting culture in a startup and changing culture as a successor. Whether it's an organization, whether it's a business, or whether it's a church, you have very, very different things that occur. The difference between a startup and the difference between something that has a history is incredibly important. I always tell church planners, and sometimes when I'm working with business leaders who are launching a new business, that what you do if you're in the planting stage is you preach it and then you do it. Because in the preaching stage, what you're going to do is you're going to gather other people who share that same vision and that same dream. And then you just go and do what you've proclaimed you're going to do. But when you come into an existing organization or you've been around a while and you realize that some things need to change, it's very different. When you're in the planning stage, you preach it and do it. When you're in the successor stage or something's existing, you do it and you don't preach it. And this is a very, very important distinction. Because when you proclaim on the front end changes that you want to make in an existing organization, the conventional wisdom is that you're gathering people to understand and see where you want to go and they're going to jump aboard. But the reality is people are resistant to change. Anybody who's seen the innovation curve or any of those studies know that over 50% of people are resistant to a new change until pretty much everybody else is for it. So when you proclaim by white papers, by town hall meetings, by a sermon series, by proclamations, the changes you want to make and why you're making them, you are not shifting people's attitudes. What you're actually doing is you're arming the resistors with all the tools they need to sabotage what you want to do. There's an old movie called Patton, and it has a remarkable scene in it. It's a scene where he has just destroyed the German general Rommel's tanks. And Rommel was an incredibly successful and famous general. And as Patton is looking over all the tanks that are smoldering and the beginning of the defeat of the German army, he just looks up and he goes, "Rommel, you magnificent bastard, I read your book." And what had happened is Rommel had written about all of his theories, Patton read them, and knew what Rommel was going to do. When you proclaim on the front end as a successor in a situation where there's natural human resistance, too much information, you are preparing people to sabotage what you do. So when it comes to changing culture, remember it's very simple and it's going to take time. That culture is the way we think and what we do around here. At first, people are going to go, what's up with that? They even resist it. After a while, they'll go, oh, okay. And finally, they'll go, this is the way we do it. You change culture by changing what is done. And if you're in the startup phase, you preach it and you do it. But if you're a successor, keep your mouth shut. Do it. And pretty soon, everybody's going to say, that's the way we do things around here. By the way, if you found this helpful and would like more of the things that we have on this channel, just be sure to subscribe, hit like. Catch you later.